town clerk. As I gave in the packets, I gave you some timelines, so you would get more familiar with, you know, the dates and what it entails in my office as far as having papers available, when they're due, when I, you know, there's specific Mass General laws. So I gave you 2 guidelines, 2 calendars for you to choose from.
So board members, we have, she's given us one scenario where we could have the actual election date of November 16th, or her preferred one, from what I understand, is December 7th, to cut down on the amount of work on, there's only 2 clerks, with town meeting and other things going on, so I'll leave it up to the board. What do you think?
Personally, I think that the town deserves to have a full board based on what our charter calls for. So I would recommend that we go with the earlier date, because we've been operating for so long with a board of 4. And then I personally think it would be better if we did it sooner rather than later.
The only reason I said December is I've heard because they have so much going on.
We do with town meeting and AG submissions. I have a specific strict guideline to get AG submissions submitted. The availability of election workers, and it would actually give more time for candidates, possible candidates, to collect signatures. And I'm not sure if you saw, my recommendation was if you could possibly keep it to a Tuesday, because people get very upset if you switch to a Wednesday or a Thursday. I understand if, you know, the first possible date could be November 10th. But I'm requesting that it at least push till a Tuesday, if that's your choice.
Mr. Chairman, I'm of the same mindset. I think the sooner the better. I know there was a town meeting. I mean, I just think I agree. I think it's just sooner rather than later we get it done. And get it done before the holidays get really socket to us, so to speak. So, because then we'll have even more difficult time. People will be traveling, we'll just, for holidays. I think I like the 16th of November, but I agree with you. I can't imagine doing it on any other day other than Tuesday. That would be.
I've done it in the past and it causes a lot of.
It would be a lot of chaos.
Yes.
I think, I agree. Thank you.
I would have to go with the recommendation of the town clerk. I mean, she's very busy. She's the one that actually does all the work. We just sit here and choose a date, and we have it very easy. Town meeting coming up, like you said, the holidays are coming up too, which, you know, whichever date we choose, it's gonna cause issues, with, you know, just having an expedited, election. And I really like the idea. It sounds like we're gonna have a really good turnout for potential candidates this year. I've seen and heard of a lot of people that are interested in filling that position. So I think to offer them the maximum amount of time to collect their signatures, we should go with the later date. And if holidays are a concern, then we can always consider after the holidays as well. When people are back from vacation, hustle bustle comes down. I agree, we need to put a position, having only 4 is very difficult. With special permits and nonsense, so, but I also think we owe it to the town, if they're gonna be spending money on it, to do it appropriately and not rush it.
With all due respect, I don't think we'd be rushing it. I mean, we've been a board of 4 for quite some time now, and it's clearly doing the town no justice. I think that we owe it to having it before Thanksgiving as opposed to between Thanksgiving and Christmas might be better for them for obtaining signatures, to get it out of the way before the holiday.
I still think December. I'm looking at the workload we're placing on the clerk. 2 people in that office.
What happened to the third?
What happened to the third?
I thought there were 3 people in the
No,
office.
there's only 2.
You know, also another thing that, all of these nomination papers, they would need to be certified. And that's another thing to consider. And then, because I have to get the ballot to the printer. And I have to have absentee ballots in my office 21 days prior to the availability. So that's also another, tremendous strain on the office as far as in doing the town meeting and getting all of the information to the AG's office.
Before we make a motion, it's obvious what really stands, unless somebody wants to budge, I don't know what to say or do. We need to decide on a date to have an election.
Michelle, I'm sorry about your budget too. I know you weren't planning, it doesn't look like you were planning on this.
And Mr.
One
Chairman,
minute.
about that part of it, I was gonna say, I didn't wanna affect the deliberation here, is that I can work to try to make this happen. I think it's important to happen. But again, I wanna make sure that the recommendation from the clerk for the timetable, that works best for the clerk's office, so that we can have, a robust, fair, and full election. The monetary part, we can work on trying to find out, it's cost about between 13 and 15,000 by Michelle's estimates, so that will be on top of the spring election that she had budgeted. So I do think that it's important, and obviously I will work to make sure that we can have the election and figure out ways financially to make that happen, just like anything else. But I do think that the way that the election should be, we typically do listen to the clerk's recommendations for that, but, again, the board can make that determination.
I respect the clerk's recommendation, but it's also not the town's fault that we're suddenly short-staffed in the clerk's office. This isn't an election that came by surprise. We've known it was coming for a long time. We could have planned for, budgeted for, posted it sooner, further away from the town meeting, and I understand that it puts a lot of work on people, and I apologize for that. I know in the past, we've had people come into the clerk's office to assist. I know we've called, in other departments, people out of retirement to assist. So I'm thinking about people that we're elected by. So I still think that, no disrespect to you and the work that your office has to do, but, I try to be for the chair, for the people, and say that no disrespect to you as chair, but I think that it's important to fill the seat, because clearly we are getting nowhere as a board, and we're not doing any justice to the people that elected us by what we're doing.
Mr. Chairman?
I don't know how you say we're getting nowhere. I think we're operating the best we can under the circumstances, and eventually we'll have a 5th member, yes. But in the meantime, we're getting things done, we're operating, and it's unfortunate that we're in this position. You are correct.
Mr. Chairman, in defense of the clerk's office, perhaps the election might have been scheduled even earlier, but the board actually did not have a quorum in the previous month to be able to perhaps even have brought up this. So I think timing is everything, and I.
It wasn't on the agenda.
No, I'm saying that,
We're not allowed to bring up things that aren't
right,
on the
okay,
agenda,
all
so
right,
it
never
couldn't have
mind,
been.
never mind. I think the board is doing, you know, it's the work that it has to do, and I've already said that I'm committed to making sure that you get the election. I just would like to give some deference to the recommendation from the town clerk, and that's all. That's what my job is this time.
Again, do you want to continue with this or come to some sort of resolution?
I mean, you're not gonna budge, you're not gonna budge, we're not gonna, I'm not gonna budge, I can't speak for Selectman Triano, but, you know, I think it's a shame, and I think this is a very telling issue. And I do agree with you, we are able to get some of this business done, I'm not gonna, I do agree with you. But, you know, when it comes down to certain votes, there is a distinct division. And and this is why the charter calls for 5 people on the board. It's not an even numbered board for a reason, and, you know, it's a tragedy as to, you know, why we're in this position that we are. Certainly not anything that anyone asked for. But I can't also disagree with the fact that we've known this is coming, and I don't understand why there isn't an urgency on some of the board members to get this done as soon as possible. And I apologize, Michelle, that's not my, it's not a,
No,
it's not a projection at all. You know, so, I mean, I hear what people are saying, I respectfully disagree. So, you know, I guess the only thing to do is to move it to the next meeting's agenda. Whenever our board of selectmen meeting is, I think it's in 2 weeks.
21st.
I mean,
And then that puts us into the same position that now we're really into the holidays, right?
so why not give what everybody wants, and people want an election as soon as possible, and we have staff members that are working very diligently to make sure that our town meeting happens, make sure everything on the political calendar happens throughout the year, so appease both ends of the court and choose the later date.
It's very nice, Mike.
We're giving the people what they want in a special election, as you put it.
Mhm.
We're doing it as soon as possible
But that's
to
not as soon as
accommodate.
possible.
That's not as
Because
soon as
she gave us
possible.
a date. If she couldn't do it this date, she would have provided this date as an option. We would have only seen the December 7th date.
Well, I wanted to also give you as the selectman, as the board that decides the date, the earliest convenient date.
Sure, sure.
That's, you know,
So
But
she's
I
saying
am-
she could
I
do
was-
it by that date.
respectfully requesting it to be on the 6th. Because I can't have specific people coming into my office working on, you know, my state systems. I can't just bring in, you know, seniors to help out and things like that. It only be specific people. So it just can't be like the town manager can't just come into my office and start working on my systems.
Got it.
I make a motion to have the special election set for Tuesday, November 16th, 2021.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second to have the special election on 16th. Any other questions or comments?
I do have one question.
Yes.
If we vote for November 16th, is that something, are you gonna have to work absurd hours throughout the day to get that done? Or,
Yes,
Okay.
that we will, my assistant clerk, Tom Sullivan, will be working more hours.
okay,
We definitely will. Because we have to certify all the nomination papers and then we'll be dealing with town meeting and we'll have to be getting workers for town meeting and the election. It's gonna double everything.
Is it something he's prepared to do?
Tom, absolutely. He's
is
100%
the overtime
already
budgeted?
already trained and has done numerous parts of the job.
Okay. All right. Call for a vote.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So 4 in affirmative, we'll make the Tuesday, the 16th as a special election. Thank you,
Thank
Michelle,
you.
for coming in.
Thank you.